Have you ever caught yourself chewing on your fingernails like a hungry squirrel attacking a penny cone? Or pushing your fingers together until your knuckles sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies? If so, congratulations, you're officially part of the What Is Wrong With Me club. Welcome. Membership is lifelong and includes unlimited habits you never realized were so weird. Humans do strange things. We are the only species that watches other people eat food online, makes spreadsheets for fun, and decides that biting our own flesh is somehow soothing. But why? Why are we like this? As it turns out, science has some answers, and it involves your brain being lazy and your joints having secret gas parties. Let's bite into this. The bad habit that won't quit. Let's start with a classic, nail biting, or as it's medically called, Onychophagia, which sounds more like a dinosaur than a dental issue. Nail biting is one of those universally annoying habits like humming in a library or texting during a movie. A lot of people do it. Some chew down to the quick until their fingers resemble overused erasers. Others nibble just enough to stay one step ahead of a nail clipper. But unless you are chomping with the intensity of a piranha on espresso, the habit is usually harmless. However, when it crosses into the extreme, like causing open wounds or chewing until there's barely a nail left, then we're entering the territory of what's called pathological grooming. Sounds fancy, but it's not. It's a category of behaviors including nail biting, hair pulling, and skin picking, and it shares some DNA with obsessive-compulsive disorders. What's especially wild? Many people do it without even realizing. You're watching a tense scene in a movie, or your boss sends a "can we talk" message, and suddenly your hand is in your mouth like it's auditioning to be a snack. The science of popping knuckles. Then there's the knuckle popping crew. These are the people who, when stressed, decide the best solution is to turn their fingers into tiny fireworks. For years, scientists debated what the heck that satisfying pop actually was. Was it bones grinding? Air escaping? Demons fleeing the body? The real answer? Something called tribonucleation. Here's what happens. Your joints are surrounded by a slick fluid. Inside that fluid are dissolved gases. When you pull or bend your joints just right, the pressure drops and a bubble forms. That's the sound you hear, not the bubble popping, but actually forming. Kinda like a champagne toast inside your finger. Good news, cracking your knuckles doesn't cause arthritis, contrary to what your grandmother swore while wagging her perfectly silent fingers. It might look odd and feel weird to others, but so far, science gives it a pass. Why we even have habits? Now let's ask the bigger, brainier question. Why do we do any of this in the first place? Nail biting, knuckle cracking, leg shaking, pen clicking, chewing the inside of your cheek until it feels like gravel. These are not just random actions. They are habits. And science says they come from deep inside our brains in a region called the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is like the backstage crew of your mental Broadway show. It handles coordination, routine movement, and habit formation. Once it gets good at something, it automates it. That's why, after a while, you don't even think before you crack your knuckles or chew your nails. Your brain is saving energy. It's being efficient or lazy. Depends on how generous you feel. Your brain's favorite shortcut. That loop trigger, action, reward is basically your brain saying, "Hey, I like this. Let's keep doing it." It doesn't matter if it's helpful, harmful, or somewhere in between. With knuckle cracking, the reward might be a little harder to define. Maybe it just feels good. Maybe the sound is oddly satisfying, like popping bubble wrap, or stepping on crunchy leaves in fall. Some scientists suggest it provides a kind of physical release, not unlike sighing loudly after holding your breath through a stressful conversation. And once that cycle kicks in, it becomes subconscious. You don't even have to think about doing it. In fact, part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decisions and awareness, literally stops getting the memo. It's like when you drive home from work and realize you don't remember a single turn. Habit took the wheel. Lazy brain, smart habits. Our brains love outsourcing. They are energy hogs, and they're constantly looking for ways to do less work. Once a behavior becomes habitual, your brain can perform it without involving the thinking parts. It's like putting your life on autopilot. This automation is super helpful for things like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes, but it's less great when it leads to chewing your fingernails until your fingers look like they went through a pencil sharpener. Building a habit can take anywhere from 15 to 254 days. That's a huge range because it depends on the person, the habit, the motivation, and how often you do it. Breaking one, often just as slow, sometimes even slower, when habits become disorders. Now, if a habit becomes damaging, like causing sores, infections, dental damage, or hair loss, it might be part of a psychological disorder. For nail biting, chronic and severe cases are linked to anxiety and OCD-like conditions. In fact, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, places chronic nail biting on the obsessive-compulsive spectrum. This is not about being gross or lacking willpower. It's about your brain forging a powerful link between the habit and stress relief. Over time, that link becomes a chain, and breaking it takes serious effort. Interestingly, research from the 1970s involving twins showed that nail biting might even have a genetic component. In a study of 338 pairs, about a third were chronic nail biters. It was more common in girls than boys, and especially frequent in identical twins, suggesting a hereditary factor might be at play. So if your entire family chews their nails, it might be more than just a household quirk. It could be in your DNA. You inherited your grandma's eye color and her cuticle issues. Congrats! Kicking the habit without losing a finger. The good news? Habits can be broken. The bad news? It's hard. To break a habit, you have to reroute the loop. You need to re-engage the prefrontal cortex and override the automation. That's why people tape their fingers, wear gloves, or even dip them in hot sauce. The trick is to notice the habit, interrupt the pattern, and replace it with something better. So if you normally bite your nails when nervous, maybe you play with a stress ball instead, or tap your fingers, or do interpretive dance. Hey, no judgment, whatever works. But wait, what about fidgeting? Nail biting and knuckle cracking are just the tip of the habit iceberg. Some people shake their legs like they're charging up to run a marathon. Others twirl pens like ninja weapons. This all falls under the broad category of fidgeting, tiny physical actions that help regulate attention, anxiety, and energy. Some theories suggest fidgeting helps people concentrate or burn off nervous energy. Others think it's just another habit. But if you have ever found yourself bouncing your knee like you're auditioning for a jazz band, just know you're not alone. And your basal ganglia is probably thrilled with your rhythm section. So why are we like this? Because we're human. We're squishy, anxious, complicated creatures. We pick, bite, crack, and shake. We soothe ourselves in small, strange ways. Some habits are annoying. Some are unhealthy. Others are just weirdly satisfying. But all of them come from the same place, our brains trying to cope, manage stress, and make life a little easier. So next time you catch yourself nibbling on a nail or cracking your knuckles like you're about to duel someone in a saloon, don't be too hard on yourself. Just remember, your brain is trying its best, even if that means occasionally acting like a weird little gremlin. That's it for today's deep dive into the bizarre world of human habits. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button like it's a hangnail you're dying to bite off. Drop a comment below with your weirdest habit or your best tip for breaking one. We might even feature your advice in a future video. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss another video.